What up, YouTube? Is this your boy, the Visionary? Welcome to another episode of Firesidechats. I've been going for a while, looking for work. And as that's not going so well, I've been planning on starting my own business. I've been planning on doing this for I think 2 years. After I created my first business plan, but I have a few other side businesses that I want to start. They're real easy to do, real easy to start off. So that's basically my focus, my plan for right now. Current events. I've been a bit late on this. I'm gonna do a real I'm gonna do a summary of what's been happening so far. In light of all the uprisings and revolts that happened in Syria, Libya, Egypt, and so on and so forth, it spread. It went to Greece. Mind you, the whole thing in Greece, surprisingly, that kind of started off first, and the media kept it quiet. And as the what happened in Libya and Egypt and all that started popping off, the Arab Spring, you started to get tidbits here and there what's going on in Greece, because what's going on is the Greek government has been passing austerity laws to try to balance out the books, so to speak, with the banks over there. And the banks are going, you know what, listen, we can offer you another loan, but you're gonna have to pass some laws, and you're gonna have to do this and that for us. One hand scratches the other sort of thing. And the Greek people are yo, that shit is BS, because now you're giving all the ownership to the banks of basic utilities, you know what I'm saying? So it's it's basically becoming a fiefdom, basically, you know what I mean? So that's been popping off over there, and then that along with a whole bunch of other places started a chain reaction. Moving along, I think during, was it September, or probably January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. I think August, maybe. I think what happened is this movement called the Occupy Wall Street movement started up, and it started up on Wall Street in Manhattan. And what's going on is that people are standing up, and they're they can't have it. They've had enough of all the bullshit that's going on, and they're pissed that unemployment rate is so damn low, and politics is just a fucking joke. It's like a freaking kangaroo court up there in the Congress. And a lot of people don't realize this, and it's surprising that all of this started, believe it or not, it's a catalyst. The catalyst was what is that guy's name? I can't believe I forgot his name. The dude that he's been fighting for his freedom. He was in jail. He was convicted of killing a cop, and there were witnesses during the time when he got caught and he got convicted. And ever since then, I think 8 out of the 9 witnesses that saw him supposedly commit the crime recanted what they said, and he's been trying to get his release for forever. So what had happened was just recently, I think a few months ago, him and his family and support groups have tried to get him freed, and I forgot the day, but they executed him. And people don't realize that that's when the movement actually started. That's when people said, you know what, enough is enough. This is all BS. Let's stop this shit. So they started the OSW movement, and it's been going strong ever since. It's been dying down here and there because I haven't been hearing enough stories about what's going on. And there's a lot of grievances going on. First is the housing market exploding and shit, ballooned because motherfuckers was giving out predatory lending and shit, going, oh yeah, we're gonna give you this amount of money for your mortgage to do what you need to do, but we're gonna put up this much interest, knowing that you're gonna fail on the shit. And then the motherfuckers going, oh, since we know these mortgages are going to be bad, what we're going to do is we're gonna package them in deals, and we're gonna, what do you call it, credit swaps, I think that's what they call it. They swap the shit with some other motherfucking bank, and then they bet against it, oh, what we're going to do is we're just going to get a better fucking deal from another swap, and then we're going to invest in that. And then once their shit fails, yada, 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 so on and so forth. That's one of the main issues. Number 2, what I think is a big problem is the economy in and of itself has been slowly declining and becoming a service economy, and that's a bad thing, because first off, when you're a country that used to be a country that produces shit and manufactures stuff, and you turn into a service economy where you don't produce anything, you don't grow anything, that's kind of bad, you know what I mean? Because once those services are cut off, there's no way for you to, the country to really support itself, you know what I'm saying? And it's there's so many jobs that can be done here that, in terms of manufacturing and producing, that everyone can have a job. Pretty much everyone can have a job. It's just that it costs more to hire these people to run businesses like that. And that's pretty much why the service economy has been growing. Because if you know anything about economic history, as far as the United States is concerned, when the Federal Reserve was created, and you got this motherfucker called Paul Volcker, and this guy's a fag. And I'm telling you, if you study economics, you see a lot of problems that are caused today were started back then when he took the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Because what he did is a lot of the things that happened back then had to do with interest rates, and there's different types of interest rates. I can go into it, but the main one was bank lending. In terms of banks lending to each other, because that's a very important part. Because when you hear people talk about, interest rates are mad high and this and that, half your motherfuckers don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Because there's like 4 different types of interest rates that have to do with the relationships between the bank and the people, bank to the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve to people, so on and so forth. And most people don't know about this, but there's other factors that have to do with just interest instead of you hearing motherfuckers say interest rates. But this dude, Paul Volcker, said, the bank lending interest rates, in terms of banks lending to banks, he rose the interest rate. So what happened is that squeezed credit, and when credit got squeezed, businesses started to die off, and factory jobs that, a lot of people could live off of, they said, we're going to ship these shits overseas and have them do the shit instead of us, paying motherfuckers over here to do the shit, and that's pretty much the beginning of offshoring and outsourcing. Well, offshoring basically. And, a lot of businesses and jobs and shit that could be over here that a lot of people could do that doesn't require a lot of fucking training are overseas, given to like motherfuckers in third world countries. Granted, they have all the right in the world to fucking, do their shit, but, our country's dying. It's like, how the fuck do you have, your own country suffering, and then you go to another country, and even though you give them motherfuckers jobs, they're still suffering as well? You know what I mean? It's fucking stupid. But anyway, in this day and age, that's one of the problems is the financial policies, economic policies that they're passing within the last 10 to 15 years that have been catching up from us from earlier time, that's affecting how the economy is now. Me in general, personally, I think we should just get off the money system, because fundamentally, money, gold, and silver are technically useless. Like, if you give me a ton of gold and I give you a ton of like corn, you can use your corn. You can eat that shit. You can trade it to someone else. Corn is infinitely useful. Me, if I don't have the technical, resources if I don't have the knowledge to know what gold and silver is used for, and I don't have the equipment to effectively use the fucking gold and silver, then it's useless. It technically is useless. Like, gold and silver, you can't really use it for anything. There are things you can use it for if you own a business of some sort that knows the technical uses for it. But if the economy goes dead, if money dies, and we go back to the tribal life where motherfucker, whatever you have is what you have, and that's what you have to trade, I'd rather have 10 tons of fucking rice and corn and blah, instead of 10 tons of fucking rocks, shiny fucking rocks. That's all that shit is, basically. But so yeah, the OSW movement, there's so many factors that have caused it, and the thing is, most people are not realizing is that Congress and the Senate is funny, because all of this shit has taught me that under the surface, under the scenes, Congress and the Senate have been passing laws like at midnight bill signing sessions and shit. And you would think that's something you would read in a book or see in a TV show in terms of seeing corruption in a comical way, but they've been doing shit like this, and for the past couple of years they've been passing these laws. Like, there's one law, I forgot it has to do with Monsanto. Look up the food protection some shit. Look up Monsanto, and what it is that the Congress passes law saying, if you grow food, first off, you can't grow food unless you get like a license and shit, and if you grow food and you sell that shit, then you are in violation of U.S. penal laws, and you can get fined or arrested and thrown into prison. And it's like, so you mean to tell me I can't grow foods in my backyard? No, because they can have pesticides, and that makes no fucking sense whatsoever. That's bullshit. That was like the tip of the iceberg, and then there are other laws that like started being passed. But the biggest one, the recent one that just passed, December 6th, December 6th, the most recent one. And this shit is a biggie. This shit is something like we all need to like stand the fuck up and, you know, go to arms, get some guns and blow these motherfuckers up. Is the National Defense Authorization Act. Now, most of you have never heard of this law, and I'm going to tell you right now that versions of this law has been passed in other states, such as Michigan, and I think 2 more. And those were like the prototype laws, and it's the same title, but it's a different code name. The one that I'm talking about now that was just passed is National Defense Authorization Act S1867. Now, basically, this law states, I'm not reading word for word, but I'm top of my head. I have it here actually. Let me bring it up. Now, basically, what this law authorizes is that it authorizes that the United States Armed Forces are able to detain any person that they consider a terrorist threat to the country, whether it be an American citizen or a person who is not who is of foreign soil. So, if you are basically, what it says is, listen, if you are suspected, keyword, suspected of being a terrorist, and you are labeled a terrorist by someone in the authority in government, you can be arrested and detained by the U.S. military, right? You can be kept indefinitely without trial, aka due process, and you can be locked away forever, period. And they're allowed to kill you if they choose to. You understand this? This basically this goes in the face of the entire Constitution, period. You know what I mean? Like, well, I have my own quips with the Constitution, but, you know, the country's based off of it, and it basically says, first off, it says, number one, the Army, the U.S. Army, mind you, terrorism is something that the CIA, the FBI, the NSA were designed to stop. That's their jurisdiction. But the fact that they passed this law saying the U.S. Armed Forces can, you know, take into possession a person, whether a United States citizen on American soil or overseas, anyone, if they're accused of being a terrorist threat. Now, that's like going, you know, first off, that the first law, the Posse Comitatus Act, which basically says the United States Army cannot be used as a police force on United States soil. Period. That's period, because it's a separate arm of the government that's used to protect the country. Period. That's it. Number two, it eradicates due process, meaning if you are accused of a crime, whether you're guilty or innocent, you get a fair, speedy trial. You are given a public defender to defend you and shit, and then that's it. These motherfuckers is like, nah, you you're called a terrorist, you're done. Like, you get no rights whatsoever. And it's like, wait a minute, so how do you know a person is a terrorist or not? Or how can you get, you know, how can you determine if a person is a terrorist, and who makes the decisions? And they're like, well, there's certain, you know, guarantees that say you are a terrorist. If you store more than 7 days worth of food, if certain fingers on your hand are chopped off or some shit, if you're storing water, like some real crazy shit that, you know, end of the world type people do. And it's like, are you fucking serious? Like, what the fuck is going on? This shit have just passed, December 6th. Check this shit out. This shit is serious. Like, this is like one of the craziest fucking shits that I've seen in U.S. history. This shit is one of those things that you need to like really think about and really do something about. You know what I mean? Because I saw this video about this chick who did this a documentary on something like this, and she was basically saying, yo, this shit is basically turning into Germany, period. Like the same shits that were happening in Germany is happening now. And I'm gonna do another video explaining more in depth on her thing, and because her shit was really in depth, it was like she gave an in-depth analysis historically on what they did in Hitler Germany and also in Italy and places like that. And yo, all I gotta say is, this shit is serious. Do some research. Don't sleep on this, because this is like really crazy. This is some end of the world shit for the United States. Like, dead serious. That's it for now. Peace. Yeah, this shit's scary. That's all I gotta say, yo. Peace.